tax, meeting, and today is day 3. And I'm so glad to be here with us once again. In fact, when we started this on, what was it, on Friday, we had a lot of network glitches that was really strange. Even yesterday we also had a bit of network issues, but thank God we are here. And I'm so glad to be hosting again day 3. So, okay, Sherwin is listening in from Ibadan. Jose is listening in from Windhoek, Namibia. I heard that place is beautiful, Jose. You should invite me. Okay, so please introduce yourself.
Sure, I will do,
If you
Doctor.
if you if you if you participated in day 1 and 2, please tell us how it has been for you. Just as a recap, day 1 was about auditing, taking time. Please do not, I know it's a challenge. You may have rushed it to see what it looks like. But do take time, look at your journal, look at what you usually do every week. So you can go back to day 1's video. I'm sure some people may have joined us yesterday, some did today, and so on. So go back to day 1's video. That task was very important. Audit yourself and, look at the places that AI can come in, especially for things that do not require a lot of your judgment and they are repetitive. So if you teach AI, just like you teach your staff, your intern, if you teach AI, it can start, doing that particular task for you. And please remember, this is still beginner level because we have all sorts of people in the group. Some do not have any knowledge about any of the tools. The tools are completely new to them, and we have been using ChatGPT, which was the most common one we saw in the group. We also use Claude a lot. So we said ChatGPT was okay if that is what you have. We don't want to complicate, anything for anyone. There is also Manos. I'm dropping the Manos link in the chat area. So there's also Manos. You can also use it to do your tax. It's an agentic tool. So that is Manos above. So once you do, it will give you some credits to start using. Of course, there are so many other tools. There is Kimi from Alibaba Group. There is Perplexity. There is DeepSeek. So if you're just joining us, please, these are the tools, that we've been using. There is Gemini. If you have been, if you have your Gmail, you can easily access Gemini and so on. So let's get moving. So in day 2, as a recap, welcome. If you've just joined, please tell us your first name and where you're listening in from. So for day 2, we actually looked at turning your messy information. Maybe you're supposed to create a report for management on Monday on something you did over the week, but you've not had enough time. And we said that's a candidate, something that AI can take off your plate. Instead of spending 4 hours crafting that report, you can look at your messy notes. You can even snap your handwritten notes. You can use your audio. You can use screenshots, imagery, photographs, different things, and you put all of those bits and pieces of information, raw data from Excel. You can put all those bits and pieces of information and it can help you create a report. And I used an example for this program. I did a report for day 1 of the program with screenshots from what happened on YouTube, screenshots from how many people were inside the WhatsApp group, and all of that, and screenshots from the lab. So this challenge has a lab. Bipe, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. all the way from Spain. I'm honored. Thank you for being here. So, like I was saying, if you put all of that together, you would be able to use the prompts we shared. The prompts are inside the group. You'll be able to use the prompts we shared to draw up a report. And we said you can also use the same method to create proposals. Some of us, a lot of us in the group, because I know almost 50% of us, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. You need to do proposals. You don't really have time. It's a candidate for AI. So just feed it the information you need to feed it so that it has the right context. Use the prompt, refine the prompt, reverse engineer the prompt, and be able to get something going. So today, day 3, we are looking at something personal. A lot of us have our CVs. Maybe you're not even job hunting anymore. You've stopped job hunting, but it's always good to have a CV. You have your CV, or you have your LinkedIn profile. So I told us that we're going to do a comparison before and after. You may not finish the whole job right here in the program, in the challenge, but please take a before of what your CV looks like, what your LinkedIn look like, and after. And please do tag me on LinkedIn. You can follow my account. Let me drop my LinkedIn account if you're not following me already. Follow my account, tag me, show what you're doing. That's the essence of this program. Show what you're doing. So please drop again your LinkedIn. I forgot to mention, since we are working on LinkedIn today, please do drop your LinkedIn in the chat area. Again, okay, Pat says day 1 was interesting because of the prompt engineers. Okay. Yes. So these are just beginner levels. So again, we also have our cohorts. So we started a pioneer cohort sometime in May ending, and that ran for 6 weeks. So that allows you the weekend, Saturdays. So we push the time. It was usually in the morning, but because some people come from different locations, we push that time from morning to around 6:30 p.m. when people have settled in, so 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We're going to be starting the second cohort August 15th. I would announce that in the group, so that if you're interested in that particular, it's not for everyone. If you're interested in it, it will be a good time to really dig your feet into using generative AI to take off a lot of repetitive work from you, so that you're able to push forward. We tagged it work smarter, earn more, and lead with AI. So from building out things to making sure your own personal brand is also built out, to making sure that you can create digital products that you can actually sell, create solutions for your organization, internal solutions that your teams can use. So those are the things, ethical use of AI, those are the things the cohort would cover, and it's for 6 Saturdays. So at your pace, we always also provide the replays, the workbooks for each week, and so on. So I would head into today's session, and it's going to be very quick. I hope you can see my screen. I think we now have 19 people here, so I'll just begin. So in day 3, we are looking at your professional presence, so how you appear to others is so important, especially in our world that work has moved from just being traditional to sometimes being fully remote or hybrid, where you're doing a few days in the office and a few days, from wherever you would like to work. So we're looking at either you pick a CV, you pick your LinkedIn, or a one-pager for your business. Maybe someone usually would ask you, okay, please tell me what your business is about. So that is also something you can use AI to create. So let's keep going. So today's challenge, we said pick one of these: CV, LinkedIn, service one pager. You're going to rewrite it to show results instead of responsibilities. Now, because we also at Right Track Consulting run a remote work support community, and we do a lot with people's CVs and LinkedIn's, from Canada to the UK to the US and all that. We see that many people do not have their CVs well positioned. And again, it's not one size fits all. So even if you have one CV for your major job role, you may have over the years learned one or more skills. So if, for instance, you're searching for a remote work role, you need to pattern that CV, that LinkedIn, to the new thing you want to transition to, the new job role you want to focus on. So that's what we'll be looking at today. So we're going to rewrite it to show results instead of responsibilities. So what results did you create in a particular role? So we may not finish this here. You're going to just take note of, the information, run with it, and use it to edit your CVs, your LinkedIn, and your service one pager. All right, so let's go in. So the tools for today are ChatGPT and Claude, and in case you want to research, what you're trying to do, there is Perplexity AI. And again, if you're used to Gemini, you can also use your Gemini. So these are our prompts. This is the major page. Please do take a screenshot. I will also take a screenshot and drop that in the group. So the first prompt says, the rewrite. You're a CV LinkedIn writer. So have you seen we're giving the LLM, the large language model, which could be from your ChatGPT to Gemini, we're giving it a role. So you're a CV LinkedIn writer for, you put the target market. Interview me with 8 questions. So have you seen we're trying to give it context. So we said, interview me with 8 questions, one at a time, to surface measurable achievements. So it would look at scale, cost, time you saved for your organization or business, people you worked with, revenue you earned. Then rewrite my summary plus bullets. Every line has an action and a number. Don't invent figures. Then you paste the current version of either your CV or your LinkedIn. Now, for the purpose of this class, I'm going to be showing a demo LinkedIn profile. Now, I would love you to go into your LinkedIn, if you're working on your LinkedIn, to download the PDF. Download your LinkedIn PDF. If you can, convert it to a Word document and then paste the information into your ChatGPT, Gemini, or whichever tool you may be using. So this is our first task. We are rewriting what we have there so that it packs a punch. When someone, a recruiter, a business partner is looking at any of your documentation, they can really tell what you're about. So I would love you to take a screenshot of this. And then, because we know that AI does use specific words, especially if it's not trained. But remember, this is just level 1. So this second prompt is the D-Robot. So we are rewriting to remove AI typical words so that when people are reading your CV, your LinkedIn, or your service one pager, it's not having those typical words like leveraged, spearheaded, robust, seamless, passionate, result-driven, dynamic. Anybody looking at this, especially this spearheaded, they will know that, oh, AI wrote this. So we're going to tell it to use plain professional English, vary the sentence length like human beings will, and then keep every fact. It should read as though a real person wrote it about themselves. So by you editing and writing this way, it's very perfect at level 1. So I want us all to take your screenshot as I'm practicing, also practice, and please do share your befores and after in the group. So doing it step by step, I'm picking, for me, it's going to be the LinkedIn, and I'll run the first prompt, go through it, and then add at least 3 real numbers, and then run prompt 2 to strip the AI voice, which is the robot. Read through it, because whatever AI gives you, still read through it, then publish it, and you can submit your link, share your link. It's a good place to, the group is a safe place to share your LinkedIn, especially, so that we can also all connect with each other. So once your profile is live, please do share your link, with your edit and all of that. So I'll stop this share and head over to Claude. You could be heading over to some other place, your own tool of choice. So let me go to Claude, but let me pick the link first. I hope the assignment for today is clear. If it's clear to you, please put a 1 in the chat area. Thank you. So we said, please pull out your LinkedIn profile or your CV. If it's your CV, you'll be working with, because this is practical. Remember, it's a challenge. It's not a training program. So let me go in. So I'm going into Claude. All right. So this is my Claude. I'm going to be pasting the first link into it. You're a LinkedIn writer, so I'm removing the CV. Remember, these prompts are just templates for remote work, for project managers. I'm going to just use this as an example, who want to work remotely. Remotely. I hope I spelled that well. Okay, interview me with 8 questions, 1 at a time, to surface measurable achievements, scale, cost, time saved, people I worked with, revenue, then rewrite my summary plus bullets. Okay, every line has an action and a number. Don't invent figures. So I'm going to be pasting, this place is where I'm going to paste the LinkedIn, the demo LinkedIn, not my LinkedIn, that I'm going to be putting in here. Now, another thing you could do is, if you do not know how to download your LinkedIn, another thing to do is that you can, so that you can see the LinkedIn is for a fictitious name. I hope nobody has this name in here. There's a Wokoro, and the email and all the information, the places that are empty, like featured, there is nothing there, no recommendation. Typically, this is what you would see, and when a recruiter is, interest, man, you, Davido, BBC News, and, when a recruiter is looking at it and they can't really find solid things, they will skip the CV. So that's why sometimes people are like, nobody is calling me for an interview, and I really desire to work remotely. So that's why I'm using this example. So I've put in the information, and this is just for class purpose. Yours would look different. And like I said, you can also screenshot your LinkedIn. screenshot your CV and attach it as images, like screenshots to this over here. So if you go over here, you can attach your photos or take screenshots, and be able to do the same thing. So I'm using Opus 5. You can use Sonnet 5 if you're on Claude. And if you're using ChatGPT, any of the recommended models would also work. So I'm going in, send message. Okay, so it's working on it. So I will drop the link, the prompt in the prompt area. Oh, sorry, that's not the prompt. Let me pull out the prompt so that you can also practice. So we're practicing a rewrite, but we're making it ask us questions, remember. So we're making it ask us questions to rewrite it on our behalf. And then I'm also dropping the second prompt when it has done all of that. So please pull this out and put where you can find it. Someone can also help us put that on the WhatsApp group. Pat, please help me put it in the WhatsApp group, the two prompts. So the first one is to edit, your work and all of that. So have you seen that? So now it's not going to be giving me generic information. So he said before we start, one thing I will come back to later, your headline says project manager at Credence in the present tense, but the experience ended in 2021. So I knew this was, I told it to give me a CV that wasn't looking, a LinkedIn that wasn't looking good, so that it will now be able to work on it. So a recruiter spots that mismatch in seconds and reads it as either a stale profile or a gap you're hiding. We'll fix it once I know what is actually true. So ground rules for the interview is going to be interviewing me and is asking me the first question. So it has 8 questions for me. So let's see if we can be able to do this very quickly. Over the 3 years at Credence, how many projects did you run? So I'm just going to, put the information back in the chat area. 7 projects per year. Full stop. What was the biggest single one? Okay, I'll say 100 million cedis. Okay, let's say Naira. It could be anything, dollars. The biggest single one, so I would say infrastructure for University of Learning. It costs 100 million. How many people reported to you or sat in your project team at the time? 12. 12 people reported to me. Full stop. So I've sent that in. I may not do all 8 right here, in the program, but this is just to give us an idea. Okay, so it's telling me that this is good. It now has something and is asking the second question. Numbers about scale prove you were trusted with something big. Numbers about delivery prove you were good at it. So now it wants my numbers so that when a recruiter is looking through that LinkedIn, they can be able to say, oh, this person really did well. Let's call them for an interview. So I would then pick this and also answer. I think we'll stop at the 3rd question. Of those roughly 21 projects across 3 years, how many landed on time? About 18 of 21, or roughly 85%. So I'll just say 90% landed on time. So have you seen it's getting context on time, okay? Then did you come in under budget and by how much? I came in under budget by 10 million naira, full stop. Then the 100 million naira university infrastructure project, how long was it scheduled to take and how long did it actually take? It was scheduled to take 2 years and 3 months, but we completed the project in 18 months. So remember, this is just me demonstrating how it can interview you, and then is getting context. Then you go back to your LinkedIn, use the information from all 8 interview questions and fine-tune your LinkedIn. So that's what today's session is all about. So have you seen it has taken note of that as well? Quick clarification before I move on, the 10 million naira, that was that on the investing for, of course, you keep, at it, till you get to the end. It has question 3, money beyond budget. So it's also asking other questions, but I hope you get the drift. So I'll pause now and take any questions we may have. Question time. Who is going to try this and what are you going to try it on first of all? LinkedIn, your CV, or your service one-pager? Can I get reactions in the chat area? Thank you. Reactions. What are you going to be using this information from? And remember that the robot is what you will use after you answer all 8 questions, and then you now will be able to really make it sound human, and move forward to use your CV or use the LinkedIn that you've created. So question time, any question, you can raise your hand and we can use the audio. We can do that in the next 5 minutes. Question time before we wrap up. I don't want to make it too lengthy. Was this clear? What would you use it for? I will share the replay, Sharon. But the prompts are in here. So we said go to either your LinkedIn, if you're working on LinkedIn, download your LinkedIn out as a PDF, then copy out the text, or you screenshot your LinkedIn, all the sections, and place it inside either your ChatGPT, attach it there, your ChatGPT, your Claude, or whichever tool you're using. And then we said, run this prompt, across it. And it will start interviewing you to get context from you, so that you can be able to readjust, what you have over there so that it captures where you are as of today. I hope that is clear. So the prompts are in here. I'll also drop them in the group shortly. Okay, Josh, you're welcome. Thank you. Pat, you try it with your LinkedIn. Okay, that's good. That's right. LinkedIn, ChatGPT is fine to try it with. You're welcome. But one thing about Claude is that Claude would write like if it's, I think the LLM really gets the human sound. That's why I'm using it to teach. So you can still use your ChatGPT, you can use your DeepSeek, you can use your Gemini, and one other extra bonus is you can compare what each of it gives you after the interviews and then use the best one that looks like where you are. So especially again for people that may need to make 3 CVs for different things they do, maybe you're a freelancer or you're looking for remote roles, use it across the different ones and then see the one that works best for you. All right, so there we'll call it a day at this point. But before we go, any other question? Please, if you got value, please show a thumbs up. Let me be sure that, we got something, a thumbs up, a clap, or something. Thank you. Then remember, we talked about our cohort 2, where we do a deeper dive into using Gen AI to improve your workplace productivity, your business productivity. So please do join us. It starts August 15th. It's Saturday evenings. You would have rested from your week's work, like we say in Nigeria, from the wahala. And then you come into the program, and then we'll be able to do 2 hours every evening spread over 6 weeks. Thank you very much. I'm dropping that in here. I will also drop that in the group. It's not for everyone. If you feel, oh, this works for me, I love it, then please do go ahead and contact me. You can DM me privately, and we'll take it from there. All right. Thank you very much. And do have a lovely new week ahead. Bye-bye.